What's up, everybody? Back again. I'm Coach Perley,
I'm Coach Heck.
and Coach Heck and I are the receivers coaches here at Kutztown University. And you might have seen us on Twitter, #Afros. That's our mantra. That's been our code. Today we have one drill, but a lot of different variations of it. Something that we came up with this spring. It's been an old drill for us. Coach has been running it for, as long as I've known him here at Kutztown. And this spring, with new developments and rule changes and whatnot, and just the necessary need for our guys to develop in that fundamental, we kind of gave this drill new life and kind of all new variations. So today we have the closeout drill and a bunch of different variations. So let's get started.
Yeah, the first one here, we have closeout line. We have 4 total cones. 3 cones for the defensive back to choose and 1 cone for the receiver to go around. The defensive back can choose any of those 3 cones. We have a physio ball. We're trying to close the distance out, create a new battleground, and not wait for the defensive back to run over us. And as Coach Perley mentioned, there's a new rule in college football that eliminated the cut block. So this is a great way to make sure that we don't get run over and have a high impact. We want to close the space out as much as possible. And all these you're going to see are examples with special teams applications as well. And we use the physio ball simulating a ball carrier. It's a dynamic thing that the defender has to react to. And it's also very safe.
This is one, Coach, that we used to do it where the receiver would kind of face a DB standing out here, and then he would get a good takeoff and close out the gap. And that was good, but I think this, the receiver doesn't know which cone his DB is going to. So you see Craig rounds this cone here, and now you got to kind of take off because you don't know how large this gap is. Again, the DB could circle the first cone, second cone, or third cone. So it's important that no matter which cone the DB chooses, you got to get a good takeoff and close down that gap. Craig does a good job here, sinking his hip, sinking his butt, getting low, and he does a good job sliding his feet too and keeping the DB in front of him to protect the physio ball or our ball carrier.
Yeah, and you can see where the ball carrier is coming from the inside out here. So that's where the leverage is. The receiver has to protect that inside out leverage there. So that's the first drill. The second drill is closeout L, and there's 5 total cones again, same physio ball, a lot of the same people. This is very effective, we thought, for some slot receiver dig out work. We also liked it for running back pass pro, because it simulates guys coming off the edge, linebackers blitzing straight ahead, and having to close the gap out, keep our shoulders square, and get a good punch in, wide base. All right. And then the objective of the defensive guy is to try to touch the ball. So the duration of the drill can go as long as you want it to go, and you can control it as the coach with the whistle. But the nice thing about all these drills, high school, college, people at every level, professional, every level, junior high, you can all use these drills. All right. They're safe. You don't need a lot of equipment. And they don't involve a lot of space, and they're not grinding people's legs.
Absolutely. And Coach kind of hinted at it, but the one thing I love about this drill, when you talk about it in the running back side, as running backs, if you're staying in pass pro, that means what? That a linebacker is probably blitzing. So as Craig gets you can see he's already turning his head here. You got to turn. Now you got to keep your head on a swivel because you don't know which gap they're coming from. So the cones kind of simulate that to kind of give him a different angle and where he has to work towards and meet him there, not just stand in the backfield and, take it on, the brunt of it.
And the ultimate variable in all these drills is the movement of the physio ball. That's a dynamic thing and an element that changes. And you see here with Jordan blocking Craig, Jordan's blocking from the inside out. So as it looks to the outsider like he's only blocking half a man, the quarterback is behind him to his left. So that's his leverage here. All right. And this is running back pass protection. When you're blocking a perimeter guy, you don't want to get beat inside. So here you see Jordan's hard inside leverage and making sure that the defensive guy has to take the long way around.
All right. Great rep by Jordan. Get another good rep here by Craig. Again, keeping his pad level low, seeing him sinking his hip in his butt and just, sliding his feet, getting hands on inside. Just a great rep by Craig there.
Here's the other thing that's important about this. It's important that the guy blocking knows where the physio ball is too, because then he can set himself up for what he has to protect against. where's the launch point of the quarterback going to be? Where's the ball carrier going to be? And if you can see that physio ball rolling, what to protect, what gap to protect, what leverage to protect. It's not always going to be taking on an entire surface of a defender. Sometimes it might be, in certain situations, a half a man, just to make sure you have the right leverage.
All right, here's our first rep, I believe, in our curve series. So what we did was we took that line concept with the cones being aligned, and then we said, all right, well, what about when a DB is, working off a hash to get in, cover 3 or any type of different zone where now you have to have a different angle as a receiver. So now we take our cones, and instead of keeping them in a line, we now have them on a slight curve. So again, same rules apply. Our receiver or running back is still attacking this cone. Our DB, again, picking each cone. But now, depending on which cone he picks, it's going to differentiate the angle that our receiver or running back has to go get him at. You can see here, Craig picks the last cone. So Jordan's got to get a really wide angle to get out there and close out the gap.
Yeah, and he kind of opens the inside gate here and lets Craig slip through here. It's good to teach off of good examples and bad examples. And this one would not be a great example. Jordan kind of gets beat inside here. But he does a nice job recovering. Here's the same drill that we actually ran in an individual period with the receivers, and the tight ends are in this one too, I believe. Expanded it a little bit. Same physio ball. We have the receiver going around the red pop-up. We really want to emphasize for outside receivers, closing the space between the pop-up and the defender so that there's a new battleground. Don't make the battleground where the physio ball is. Make that battleground as close to the defender as you can, so that, again, can't emphasize this enough. The elimination of the cut block rules has huge implications for college wide receiver blocking. Not a big deal for the high school level. You never really could cut. But for us, this is going to be something we're going to. And the other thing I've noticed when we started this drill, we didn't do 10 blocking drills anymore. We did 1 or 2 varieties of this type of thing. And it really made it easy to organize practice.
Yeah. You'd like to see Jerry close out a little bit more here, but he does a good job sinking his hips when he does get to where he needs to be.
Yeah, there's several phases here. You identify where the defender is, you close the space out, then you have to be ready for the engagement and strike, and with a wide base, your head up and, a good center of gravity. There's good reps and bad reps in all these. And you can see that the ball, again, is a big variable. Where's the ball going? And you can see the receiver doing a good job. He's actually getting himself right behind the ball. Good job there, recognizing where the ball is.
Great job here by Brandon, sinking his level, getting hands inside quick, kind of staying latched on and just sliding with him.
The receiver's helmet wants to be lower than the defensive back's helmet. That's one of the things we'll talk about. Make sure your helmet's underneath his and sit down.
Great point.
We had some tight ends involved in this one too, some bigger guys, which was good work for the receivers going against bigger defenders.
Here, Kurt picks the last cone, so Caden's got a long way to go.
Closeout, yep.
Which again does happen against especially you high school guys. Everyone runs cover 3 and corners back up forever. You're gonna have guys that have to go out and get him. So that's a good simulation, good realistic game transition.
And here's the other key thing we're going to talk about. We call it the second bite. So you have the first initial engagement, and then there's the second bite. All right. And that's something we came up with the phrase. We use a lot of phrases like in screens, we have to talk about second bites because you're blocking for a long period of time. So here's a second bite, boom, first bite, second bite. And then you hit the whistle as a coach after maybe the third bite.
Yeah, good job by Caden just staying on him.
Going around the first cone here, battlegrounds, everything's happening quicker now. There's the physio ball. Receiver actually has a wide base and goes over the physio ball. I think this is Spitzy here. Yeah, pretty good job there. Sometimes the battleground is really quick and you got to engage them right away. That's the beauty of this drill. The receiver, you could have 4 different reps here and you have 4 different scenarios depending on what the physio ball does and depending on which cone the D-back goes around.
Yeah, and lucky for Spitz, he's already shorter than Cam, so that's easy for him to get low. But great base.
Yeah, we're going against the tight end here. Right. You have to be in good fundamental position. It's not a strength contest because we're going to lose that. That's a great point.
Here's a clip around the first cone again, very quick.
So don't like the receiver waiting so much there. I'd like to see him kind of inch up on him, close the space up a little bit more.
But good job here. We see the DB uses that spin technique on the first bite, get a spin. Kurt does a good job of disengaging, sliding, and then re-engaging on the DB. I'd like to see him keep his hands more inside, but that's a good job when the DB spins on you, how to disengage and re-engage very quickly.
Now you see here what I'm doing with the physio ball. Let's take note of this. This is a little bit of on the fly. I'm not rolling the ball. I'm moving it around, and I'm making the receiver really work to keep battling this block. You see, I'm not rolling it. I'm just kind of changing it, moving it around. A lot of this, the rep is really contingent upon how hard the defensive back works. If the defensive back's really working hard, the receiver really gets a lot of good reps out of it.
All right, now we're on to fourth variation, cover 2 closeout. So this is one, Coach, if you want to talk a little more about it, but we kind of wanted to see how can we adjust this to certain types of coverage corners. So this is our cover 2 closeout.
Yeah, this is really a difficult block sometimes because the corner's a cloud corner. He's a run fit perimeter force player. He's got flat responsibility and coverage. He's not going to pedal. And sometimes the receivers get so used to go and they close out and they forget that sometimes the corners aren't going anywhere and they overrun them. So we have 3 different types of cones here. They represent a normal, just a hard corner, straight on, a cloud, like what we call slice corner, which would be the cone closest to the physio ball. And then we have an outside leverage, hard funnel corner, which would be the cone closest to the hash mark. All right, this is going to be a short closeout. We have to really get a quick engagement here, get a wide base, get our hands tight, and you're going to get multiple bites on this one. The ball's not going to be as much of a factor on this drill.
You'd like to see Jake, once he gets here engaged and locked on, to start driving his feet and not get bullied back.
Yeah, see how we don't, yeah. So the receiver's going around the X on this drill. See the X where they put the ball for kickoffs? That's his landmark for this one. We just use the X to make it a safe, again, key term there is safe. We don't want the cone being part of the drill. So we use the X on this. So you could use a towel if you wanted to, that would be all right. But the battleground here right now is too close to where the physio ball is. And that's a big point of emphasis in this drill. Jerry closed it out a little bit now, and the battleground is between the yard lines. It's between the X and the cone yard line. A little bit better job by Jerry. Number one mistake kids are going to make in this drill is they're going to duck their head.
Yes.
That'll be the big thing. They're going to duck their head, and then the corner's going to pull them down, or the corner's going to shock them. So good job here, Jerry, being patient, sitting down, not ducking his head, wide base, all right, and getting multiple bites.
Yeah. And as Jerry's kind of keeping his hands inside, it doesn't really show, but he's slowly getting the corner to go backwards. You can kind of see him inching him back. He's not full out driving him like an offensive lineman, but he's doing his job to get him away from the ball carrier.
Yeah, and a lot of these really glamorous pancake blocks that you see on a lot of people's huddle tapes, they aren't really realistic because good corners aren't going to put themselves in those positions. Here we have an outside leverage corner. So the sideline is closer to where the PSAC logo is. So now in this situation, one of the things we'll teach is try to get the corner back out of bounds. All right. And this isn't very good here. We get beat inside on a second move and we get very high. Watch how tall we get here as the receiver. After the first initial engagement, he stands up and then he ducks his head and then it's over. So a lot of this is footwork. All right. The final one. This is the USC drill. Similar to the cover 2 closeout drill, but here we've incorporated shoots. And we only have a 2-way go for the defensive back. We have 2 cones instead of 3. The receiver's going to close out. It's a short closeout. He's going to close out between the 2 shoots. And then the coach is going to roll the physio ball one side or the other. And the receiver has to stay low, slide, defensive slide, like defensive basketball positioning, wide base. And then the key thing is, as you slide, you want to close out and climb up towards the defensive back. All right, so here's some examples of Jerry doing this. Slide, close out. All right, try to minimize that contact. The defensive guy is he's gonna foot fire, then he's gonna loop around one of the cones. This is pretty easy. This is a really close quarters drill. You can get a lot of reps in this drill because you're not spread out, you're not chasing the ball around, and guys aren't getting gassed. All right, but we want a little bit of a closeout getting into the shoot to simulate. This would be like if you're seeing catch man and the corner's not moving, okay? And he's waiting for you, but you still have to close out on him, and then you got to slide and cut him off.
The big emphasis with the slide, and, we tell our guys, when you want to you're closing down that gap, once you get into your defender, you don't want to take a step, because if you take a step like most young receivers will do, that opens up your chest, and now they have a full lane to go through. And like Coach said with the basketball analogy, slide into him so you always keep your shoulders parallel, and he's always in front of you.
Yeah, great point. You don't want to open up any of the gates. You want to have the ability to close inside gates or outside gates. And you can see here, kind of more of a running back application on this rep. The running backs kind of have a different approach to things sometimes. But we would like to see, the wide base, head up, the closeout. We did this drill the other day with an extra shoot where we closed out into a new wide-legged shoot, and that's the next time we'll shoot that. We'll film it. But I like this one because there's horizontal movement in blocking. It's not all vertical movement. You've got to make sure that you have a good horizontal base and slide and cut them off.
A good rep here by Jerry. As he's staying low through the shoot, he's also gaining ground to close out that gap. So he's not just staying horizontal and then going up. You can see he kind of takes like a diagonal slide here, right there, as he gains up to the defender. So again, Jerry's, a seasoned vet at this drill. He's done it numerous times. This is a good clip here.
It's very important when you see cover 2 or any kind of cloud corner not to overrun the corner. So you see, it may look like a timid closeout, but we don't want to be overrunning catch man guys. And so the receiver has to be ready for all different types of leverage. You don't want to predetermine, oh, the guy's bailing. No, they're not always bailing. Sometimes they're standing there catching you. Sometimes they're waiting. So here you see Jake catching a little bit, but he's not in bad position. He's going against a shorter guy, which is going to make him work harder to stay low. But good job keeping his shoulders square on the second and third bites here. And the defensive back's trying to distort him and turn his shoulders. Good job. See the good base there. Really sitting down on the chair, keeping a good base. That's a 6'3" guy going against a 5'8" guy.
Again, your basketball guys will do better at this drill. Jerry and Jake are both, basketball backgrounds, so they kind of get the slide movement and they already have that. But, for your guys that don't, it's a big point of emphasis to focus on sliding and not stepping. All right. And those are 5 different variations of one drill. Again, it's a blocking drill that now, without cutting at college and even at high school when you could never cut, something you want to have in your toolbox. As always, you're free to adjust this drill or make a different variation that best suits your players, because that's the key. As long as your players understand it, then you're doing your job and getting the most out of them. As always, if you guys ever have any questions, email myself or Coach Heck or DM us on Twitter. We'll always have drills on there for you. So thanks for watching and hope to hear from you guys.